Breaking news into CBS Sports HQ. Free agent linebacker Von Miller is expected to sign with the Cowboys. Miller is a three-time All-Pro, former Defensive Rookie of the Year, a two-time Super Bowl champion. He was the MVP of Super Bowl 50 with the Broncos. Miller spent last season with the Commanders, where he played all 17 games, had 9 sacks. Miller now returns to his home state, where he was an All-American at Texas A&M. We welcome in our Garrett Padell, who covers the Dallas Cowboys down there. And Garrett, let's start with the question of how does he fit in with this Cowboys team?
Well, Lindsay, I think he fits in incredibly well. I mean, a year ago, Jadeveon Clowney led the Cowboys with 8.5 sacks, another former top pick, veteran type of player. And he's someone who Dallas really needed in this edge rusher room. I mean, they're relying on Rashawn Gary, who at this stage of his career may be better against the run, really kind of one-dimensional with the bull rush pass move. Second-round pick from a year ago, Donovan Ezeraku, and rookie first-round pick Malachi Lawrence. So it's really a young edge rusher room, and particularly in the case of Ezeraku and Lawrence, Miller comes in and can be this veteran who, I mean, he leads a pass rush summit every year in the offseason. To have that guy in your building to teach two of the young building block edge rushers in your room is incredibly invaluable, particularly with Lawrence, who does this false step thing, Lindsay, where he takes a step back almost before running forward off the line of scrimmage. It's something Dallas has been working on with him meticulously this offseason, from OTAs, mandatory minicamp, through training camp, to get him to cut down on before the snap. But perhaps seeing Miller up close in person can help speed that development along for the rookie first-round pick out of UCF.
And also, you know, maybe not discounting just the presence, too, in terms of the culture and in the locker room. What do you know about what you think they would be excited about getting in someone like Von Miller?
I think professionalism and someone who can help the rest of the guys along the defensive line learn Christian Parker's scheme. I mean, Miller's played in a variety of different playbooks throughout the years in the NFL. I mean, he's going to be 37 years old, been there, done that. And so this is somebody who can just be an incredible leader and role model to that edge rusher room. And now they have Quinnen Williams locked down in the middle of this defense alongside Kenny Clark, 2 vets in the middle of the defense. Now they really have 2 vets in their edge rusher room between Miller and Gary that can really help this front seven come together in a cohesive way for young 34-year-old first-time defensive coordinator Christian Parker in 2026.
I love that. That's a great point. I also love when you follow along, Von Miller shows that he's been continuing to do the work, keeping himself ready. What do you know about, honestly, how much he's got left in the tank?
Well, he led the Commanders in sacks a year ago, Lindsay, with 9. I know It wasn't a year that Washington loved. I mean, they were one of the worst total defenses in football. This is someone who, if you put in a third-round pass rush situation, he can go and get you a sack or 2, get some pressures. And I think that's something that's going to be invaluable for Dallas's hopes this year, as they return everybody from a top 10 offense a year ago, and now just need a little bit more from the front seven of that defense to perhaps really take a leap defensively. I mean, if this defense, which was the worst defense in numerous metrics a year ago, is even mediocre, I mean, Dallas could certainly make a return to the playoffs, and Von Miller could be that mentorship that allows Donovan Ezeraku and Malachi Lawrence to maybe take some big steps here in 2026.
Garrett Padell, we appreciate all your insight. Thanks so much, Garrett. And it should be noted that Von has said early on that this would be the first time his parents wouldn't have to fly to games to watch him play. So pretty cool, too. Again, the breaking news that Von Miller is expected to become a Dallas Cowboy. And he himself tweeted, here you go, Dallas, let's make this one special. There you go, Von Miller. Certainly excited, it seems, about his new move. And as you heard Garrett say there, someone that can certainly lead his impact to a team early and often. Week 1 of the NFL preseason, plenty of good rookie quarterback play already. Here are some of the notable performances so far. Players commanding attention, making a case to get their opportunity in the regular season. So it is time now to welcome in CBS Sports NFL writer Tyler Sullivan. Tyler, it is great to see you. Week 1 of the preseason, a lot about first impressions, obviously, especially for these rookie QBs. We saw 17 different rookie quarterbacks in action, from the undrafted to highly anticipated like Fernando Mendoza. Who do you feel is most impressive so far?
Well, I'm going to go right in the middle. I'm not going to go high in the draft. I'm not going to go undrafted. I'm going to go on that day 2 realm, and it's Drew Aller of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I feel like I have to at this point. The dude only missed 3 passes in his debut with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing and 1 rushing. And when we look at this time of the year, obviously, Drew Aller is not competing for a starting job in 2026. That belongs to Aaron Rodgers and what is going to be his final season. But this is a peek behind the curtain for Steelers fans to see what potentially the future may hold. And if Drew Aller went out there and stunk up the joint, well, you know what? Those dreams of him being QB1 in 2027 would have went out the door. The encouraging performance here, it strings along the hope that maybe they have found a guy that could be the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers. Of course, a long way from the start of the 2027 season, but encouraging start here from Drew Aller past that first test. And at this stage of his career, at this portion of the preseason, that's really all you can ask for at this point, is show that you are encouraging, show that you are making those steps forward. And if you continue to do this, and again, this is in the second half of preseason games, so probably going against some scrubs from practice squad players and etc. But I think, again, showing that encouraging steps forward, that you're getting into the system, you're getting familiar with the NFL speed, that's only encouraging as we continue to evaluate that position behind Rodgers.
And it must be such a confidence maker for him. I'm staying on that quarterback topic. Teams are making moves, they're naming starters, a few battles remain. Which do you think is the tougher QB competition between the Browns, with the battle between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, or the Falcons, Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix Jr.?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Cleveland Browns here and say that one's a little bit tighter because when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, yes, Tua Tagovailoa didn't have the best performance, but he's also not competing against anyone technically right now because Michael Penix still isn't cleared for 11 on 11, so I kind of put them off to the side for now in terms of the default. And I look at the Cleveland Browns and look at that as a true competition of who could start in week 1, and you look at that first week of the preseason, not the most encouraging by either one of these quarterbacks. I would say Deshaun Watson, who started the game, a little bit better. He didn't commit a turnover in the air, did fumble the football on a strip sack. You look at both of these quarterbacks, it's tough to say that one of them is really ahead of the other. And really, when I look at this, I say, okay, is there really going to be a true winner for Todd Monken, or is he just going to have to pick a quarterback? Right now, it doesn't feel like there is a quarterback on this roster that is taking a hold of the job and running with it. Of course, early on in the preseason, still a few more games to go here. Obviously, a few more training camp sessions at practice to establish a starter. But right now, I would say the tightest competition is in Cleveland, and that's not necessarily a good thing if you're Todd Monken.
And why don't you think that's a good thing?
Because right now, it doesn't feel like one of those quarterbacks is taking the ball and running with it, right? It doesn't feel like Deshaun Watson, who has had the inside track throughout the offseason to get the starting job, doesn't feel like he has taken it and ran with it with that opportunity. And Shedeur Sanders kind of showed some of those warts that we saw over the course of his rookie season when he became the starter. Errant throws, a bad interception under pressure, throwing it deep down the field where it seemed like he overthrew his intended target. So it doesn't feel like there is someone that you can feel ultimately confident under center in week 1, but somebody's going to have to win the job. It's just a matter of who Tom Monken likes at this moment.
Gotcha. All right. We've also seen several injuries already this preseason, including Cardinals rookie running back Jeremiah Love, who's now dealing with what we know is a high ankle sprain, according to reports, which is the most concerning rookie injury that you're monitoring at this point.
Well, the Jeremiah Love one that's coming down now certainly is not great for the Arizona Cardinals, a number 3 overall pick. Wants to be a centerpiece of that offense. Now he's dealing with high ankle sprain. I'll stay in the first round, though, and Jordan Tyson, wide receiver of the New Orleans Saints, he is dealing with a hamstring injury. And remember, throughout the pre-draft process, Jordan Tyson was talked about as the most talented wide receiver in this class. The reason why he wasn't wide receiver 1 in the class was due to injuries. And part of those injuries during his collegiate career were hamstrings. Now, Kellen Moore said that this hamstring injury is not related to the ones that he dealt with in college. But you have to wonder, okay, is this a player that is a little bit more injury prone? Talked about how this injury may bleed in to week 1. And so when you deal with stuff to tissue injuries, there's always the risk of it reoccurring. And when you have a rookie wide receiver that is trying to learn the NFL speed, trying to learn a new offense with a new quarterback in Tyler Shuck going into his season as the full-time starter, you ideally would have liked this to really hit the ground running. And I mentioned Tyler Shuck. Part of this relates to him as well. They are letting him be the full-time starter after flashing at the tail end of his rookie season. You want to have a full, all-encompassing view of what this guy could be as your franchise cornerstone. The best way to do that is to have all his complementary wide receivers available to him. If all of a sudden Jordan Tyson's a little bit slowed out of the gate, maybe derails his rookie season, at least in the first half a little bit due to hamstring injuries, that hurts our ability to judge him as the week 1 starter, as the full-time starter in New Orleans.
All right. Overall, biggest winner of preseason week 1.
I think I go to the Bay Area, and Dejon Stribling, the wide receiver rookie. I just love what I saw from him. You talk about a highly targeted wide receiver. He really produced, made a number of contested catches. And I look at what his role could be in this offense. Again, he was the first pick in the 2nd round of the 2026 NFL draft. And I think that you look at the San Francisco 49ers, you look at those wide receivers right now. Mike Evans, a little bit dinged up. You have Deebo Samuel coming back, a lot of tread on his tires. This is someone who I think could inject some life into this wide receiver room, some much needed youth into this wide receiver room. And you look at the targets that are carrying over, that are left over after you lose Juwan Jennings, you lose a ton of wide receivers, Ricky Pearsall being another one down for a season-ending injury. You're almost looking at 200 targets that are left over and up for grabs from players that have either departed or went down due to injuries from last season. Of course, Mike Evans will take a ton of those. Deebo Samuel will. But those guys haven't shown a history of staying fully healthy, which means Stribling could see the lion's share of targets in that wide receiver room, or at least it's in the realm of possibility of that happening. And if you're telling me that a young wide receiver in a Kyle Shanahan offense is going to see a ton of targets, we could be in for a special rookie season.
I'll say, all right, biggest loser or disappointment at this point?
So I put the Atlanta Falcons on the shelf momentarily. I'm picking them back up, and we can talk about them now. I think that they're the loser of the weekend. I mentioned Tua Tagovailoa. Didn't really impress in his small showing with the Atlanta Falcons to start their preseason matchup. Back-to-back punts. He really didn't do much. He kind of had a botched snap at the beginning as well. I believe it was on his 2nd play of the day. And so when we're evaluating at least his chances of being the starting quarterback, he might win it by default because, as I mentioned, Michael Penix Jr. simply might not be healthy enough to start in week 1, but didn't do a ton to endear himself right out of the gate. And when you take this on top of